the Yanas Palace, and today the author and a member of the launch committee are here with us on breakfast to talk about the book. From my immediate left is Abubakar Ishaq Mutarga. He is the author of the book. Dastaba, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much.
Great. And to his left is Abdullah Yakubu. He's a member of the launch committee. Mr. Yakubu, good morning. Dastaba, and welcome to the show.
Oh, good morning. Thank you.
Good to have you. We've been expecting you, Mr. Ishaq. What has been the common misconception about who the Dagbonbars people are? Or we can even start with who the Dagbonbars people are.
First, there's that misconception about Dagbonbars originating, in other words, descending from Tohaji, the Red Hunter. Right. There's only this book that will tell you something different, because my research has proven to me that Dagbonbars actually are two groups. We have the Aboriginal Dagbonbars and we have the rulers. The rulers came and conquered the Aboriginal Dagbonbars and assimilated their blood with the Aboriginal Dagbonbars. So we now have a modern Dagbonbars that you see in Dagbon, that you see in Nanong, that you see in Mamprogu, that you see in the Musi land. So there are a whole lot of groups that are within the Voltaire Basin that have the name, they bear the name, the Dagbonbars, but just because of so many political, things that have happened, they have shaped them into different names that we have now. For instance, if you look at who the Mamprosis are, they don't regard themselves as Mamprosi, they know themselves to be Dagbonbars. Look at the Nanumba, they don't know themselves to be the Nanumba, they know themselves to be Dagbonbars. As for Dagbonbars, I wouldn't talk about that. Then you look at other, groups, such as those that we refer to as Grusi. I think that name, along the line, I came to understand that the name came somewhere along the line, somewhere in the 19th century. They all regarded themselves as Dagbonbars. So you have the Grusi, the Kusasi, the Talensi, the Nabdans, the Wala, the Dagaba, all these tribes, all these groups. If you go into their history, their tradition, their culture, their language, you realize that they are one people. That's one misconception that people have, that when you mention Dagbonbars, they are immediately thinking about Dagbon. This research and this book will tell you something different. And I didn't just dream, just get up and write the book. I didn't do that. I did a long time research. Took my time before I came out with this book.
What informed coming out with this book? The second largest ethnic group in Ghana, after Akans. Why has it taken this long to put the misconceptions straight? There's
something that you need to be careful with. All along, our history has been with our drum historians. They keep the history, and this is oral chant, oral drum chants. And one thing that you need to know, or we all need to know, is that before they chant about certain exploits, certain, exploits of the rulers, there are certain traditional rites that they have to perform. So if you are a Dagbonbars who doesn't come from that family, in other words, you are not a member of that clan of drummers who keep the history, it is very difficult for you to go there and ask them and even ask permission to write it. So we've come to an era when I had to break that boundary to unearth these information that we could keep in the book. Because if we have not been writing our history, it will get to a time that a lot of people would not understand who the Dagbonbars are. And if you don't know who you are, it's difficult to understand where you are going. So it's partly because of how difficult it has been all along to get this information. Fortunately for me, I've lived with them. I'm a secretary of one of the powerful palaces of Dagbon. I've lived with the chiefs, I've lived with the drum historians, I've lived with so many elders. And knowingly or unknowingly, they have been able to assist me, and they have even been able to grant me that permission to write this book.
Right. I'll bring you in a bit later. Let me bring in Yakubu here. How important is the launch of this book and coming out with a document that captures the history of people like the Dagbonbars people with such rich culture?
Thank you very much, my sister. If you ask me about the launch, I will describe it as the rediscovery of Dagbon, the revolution of the Dagbon history. This book comes to mark the revolution and the rediscovery of the Dagbonbars people. Because to tell you the truth, the lines of narrations about who the Dagbonbars people are has been so much distorted that even Dagbonbars born in the Generation Z, you could realize that they were missing about who they are. So when the Dagbonbars is mentioned, everybody thinks about the ruling classes, forgetting about who the aboriginals are. And there was a seeming recipe for chaos until this project came to be a way of bringing some level of harmony and some level of what, if you like, unity and understanding among the people living in the Dagbonbars land. So this is a project that is a revolutionary project. And we think that it is going to mark some kind of a new path in the history of the Dagbonbars people.
Right. Mr. Mutharika, people will be asking, where are the Dagbonbars people even located? Where in Ghana are they located? And how easy is it going to be to get them all under the umbrella and look to the past that they were all Dagbonbars people before the separation into, as you said, Sisala, Napdam, Talensi and all?
I would say most of the northern Ghana is occupied by the Dagbonbars people. Most of the northern Ghana, if you like, about 2/3 of the northern Ghana. The moment you mention northern Ghana, think about the Dagbonbars people. Because here you are, you have the current northern region, you have the Savannah region, you have the upper west region, you have the upper east region, then you even have parts of the Burkina Faso and Cote d'Ivoire and parts of Togo. So much of the Voltairean basin is peopled by Dagbonbars with different nomenclatures.
So if I pick this book, I'll get to know Dagbonbars who are in Ivory Coast, Burkina.
Exactly, you get to know them.
Okay.
You get to understand. You see, we have come to an era when we need to actually understand how the language came to be the same. So that if a Kusasi man, for instance, talks about the black ants, he says Salan Sansi. The modern Dagbonbars in Dagbon will say Salan Sahi. How come that the language is the same? How come that we have non-rulers in Dagbon, that is those that we refer, the anglicized name, the Dagbonbars, non-rulers there who do not descend at all from from Nagbewa, let alone to talk about Toazi. It is this history project that we have done that will uncover these elements so that we can keep this for generations. We all can understand that the Wala in Wa, the Dagaba in Wa, and the much of the upper west region. Then you come to the Savannah region, parts of the Savannah region, we have this Sisala group, then we have other groups, the Talensi groups, that is in the upper east region, the Nabdams, those that we call the Frafra, that's the proper name, the Grusi. Then we have those that we call the Musi, the Musi. Now, one thing that you need to understand, my sister, is that if you go to these places, Nanu, that's the Bimbila and the enclave, the Nanumba, state. You go to Dagbon, that's currently Yendi is the capital, the enclave there. You go to Mamprugu, Nalergu is the capital and the enclave. You go to Mosi Kingdom, that is the Mosi state. Now, these people have two categories of, there are two groups. They have the non-rulers. In Dagbon, we call them, Tumbi. In Nanu, they call them Tumbi. In Mamprugu state, they call them Tumbisi. In Mosi State, they call them Timbisi. In the Talensi Nabdan area, they call them Timbisi. So these Timbisi groups that I've talked about, they descend from the Tiawe giants who peopled that area before Naibewa, or even before we can talk about Toazi, may have arrived from somewhere.
Wow.
That's one thing that we need to understand.
It's interesting that such information, is captured here and should, be gotten. Let me come to Yakubu. What presently, because we have to go, we're almost out of time, can the Dagbamba people do to ensure that their identity, their culture doesn't fade away and they recognize each other's diversity but in unity?
Okay, so the first point is about identifying yourself, knowing who you are. When we talk of the Biawa state, if you talk of Dagbon, it is a kingdom that is accommodating of everybody. So we need to go back and look at who we are, who the aboriginals were, that is the early settlers before even the ruling classes came. It was because of the commonalities in our way of the cultures. That was why the commoners were able to live, or the aboriginals were able to live with the ruling classes who came and almost invaded or conquered them or assimilated them to be part of them. When we get that culture, that values in us, we learn to live together. I have worked and lived in areas that are populated by Konkwembe sometimes, Tatalisa and etc. I've worked with people there, and I don't find myself too different from them. They don't see themselves different from us. So we need to go back to our roots and look at the good and the rich culture that we were having and see how we can bring that to bear. In this way, we can then live with everybody. Okay. And most important thing is also what? Knowledge.
Seek knowledge.
And it is in this book that you will get the true knowledge of the history of the Dagbamba people.
Mutaiga, there's also been the arguments you see online, even in our naming and how we identify each other, that somebody is able to identify their brother from their name, that you come from this part of northern Ghana or this part of Ghana. I was asking Yakuba about the things that the Dagbamba people can do to preserve their culture.
He has talked about education. Of course, we need to have knowledge to be able to keep people understand their identity very well. We can have festivals that we can bring, Dagbamba in the diaspora. I'm not talking about just the Dagbamba in Dagbon. I'm talking about Dagbamba. All these groups with different nomenclatures, we need to bring all of us on board to have cultural renaissance, cultural festivals and all that, so that we can have a lot of the abandoned, the forgotten aspects of the culture brought on board for generations that are coming up to still know that all these, aspects of the culture were part of the generations that, we've come to descend from.
Okay, I see pictures that you went around to the various palaces, Yakubu, before the launch, and let us know where we can get the book. We're out of time. Yakubu.
Okay, so a quick one. One other thing we do is, Matiti, when was the last time that your grandma gave you narrate a story for you, like Salma, and then give you the story?
Oh my goodness!
You can imagine. So in the olden days, when we are cracking granules or we're working on the maize, they have stories that you tell about the past. So these are some of the other things that we need to do. Okay. And what's in about this book, when my brother wrote the book, he asked me that I should go through and see what can be added there. I was reading the book and I realized that the book was reading me. You get it? Because I was reading the book to look at the loopholes and add something there. And I ended up realizing that I now have to read the book as a material to learn before I can then go and because I have nothing useful to add to the book, as the judges will normally say in India.
There's a lot that we need to learn. Mr. Mutaiga, where can we get the book? Is it online? Is it digitalized already?
It's just been launched. This the hard copy is been launched. It's going to be launched soon on the digital platform, Amazon and all other platforms. Now, people are calling for copies of this book. I would leave some here. This is
at GBC?
GBC, okay. Yes. This is the only station that I trust that can, be a place to get the book. So I will leave some copies here so that anybody that wants to have the book can have it and read it.
Right. Is there a number if they want bulk copies they can call?
Of course there is.
Okay, please put the number out.
0244 90 3765.
0244 90 3765 is the number. Thank you so much. I've been speaking to the author of the book.